Yesterday we cut the dash out of the Oldsmobile outside. It went fairly quick. I just chopped a bunch of stuff off. I did not try to ruin anything. I did not ruin anything that we're going to use. As I'm looking at the 40 here now, it's empty. I don't think I want to weld the dash in forever, but I do think that where I've got it, I try to like to make it fit so I could take it off and on, and play with it a little bit, you know. I would never want to weld the dash in without taking out all the instruments and having everything working before I attached it. So I would make sure if I do attach it, it'll be a spot here and a spot there, but I will not leave it in there and leave it that way. I will not do that because there's too much work that's got to go on. I noticed, me and Jolene noticed as we were taking it apart, why the dash wasn't clipping. It might have been maybe from the factory. They had the clip upside down. It even took me 3 times, and I was doing it, looking at it. But the clip was held upside down. The dash would not stay shut. And you can imagine how annoyed that person would be driving that car with that dash falling down when it hit things. It would just, I think it would drive you crazy. Then it would be really hard to find because, yeah, it was a clip that was up inside that you would never see unless you got your head up in there. What a time it would be. But anyways, I can see that bothering somebody like me. We're going to try to put this dash in here, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a few measurements off the dash and show you where I'm going with it or what I'm thinking in my brain. What I'm thinking in my brain is, as I've measured it all the way across. I've got inside. I'm going to get something to hold this door open. Just bear with me for a second. I'm going to shove something in there that'll hold that door open. My hammer will do it. I'm just going to come in here like this. I'm just going to stick a hammer in there. All I have to do is remind myself not to close the door, or not try to close the door as I have that open. As I come in here, I can see, well, obviously the dash is the dash where it was. I can see up in here, there must have been the window went in here, the rubber went on there. You can see where the dash must have screwed on before, which we still can. We can screw that one on if we get it fitting good enough. But as I noticed, what I want to get looking for is where the garnish molding went on. And I can tell I have the garnish molding here, believe it or not, I do. It's not chopped yet, but as you see it, you see the vent. There's the vent, there's the vent there. That's where the screw goes. So obviously, the garnish molding must cover that vent. Must come down here. It actually got a line there. It almost looks like it's covering there. I can't put it on because it's not chopped yet, or else I'd put it up and try it. But you can see the screw hole above it, the vent. So here's the vent on the garnish molding, and it must cover it. Yeah. So we'll go up there like say, like yay. It used to fit at one time. It does not no more. So that actually shows me or tells me all I'm doing is called investigation. I'm investigating what went on there, and then I'm going from there. So as I investigate, I see where the garnish molding's on. I can see that the hole is in the middle of the garnish molding. So I know half of it's up here and half of it's here. If you know what I'm trying to tell you. It's half and half. So I split it. I know where I'm in the middle of that hole. So when I put the dash on, I at least want the dash up to this screw hole. That looks, you know, that would cover it halfway. So I'm going to put the dash up to the screw hole, hope to. So that's my farthest point on my dash. So when I look at that part, I'm going to say I'm going to try to get the farthest point to fit that. As I do that, I have to measure the dash, this piece over here that we have, how far it comes out from that point. So, and that's the point I'm going to measure from, because that's where I want the dash to fit. So I'm going to get outside the car. I'm going to measure. This is what I'm going to measure. The depth of the dash. That's what I'm going to measure. So the depth of the dash, and I'm saying I have 10 inches on the depth, and I'm going to say center's the key. Center's the key. So I'm going to take the depth of it, and I'm going to say it's 10 inches. So I have to take that information and run it in this car and check it out. If I run what I've done here now, if I take this door, I'm going to shut this door. What I've done is I got myself a piece of round tubing. I've come in here, I've laid it on the car, on the doors, and then I'm going to measure out, ouch, how far 10 inches is. So 10 inches to me, that's 11 inches of the middle of the bar. It's 11 inches. You can see around the middle on the bar. It's 11 inches right there. So I got to go in 1 inch. So 1 inch from the middle of the bar. So we're looking right about, I had a marker. You give me a marker, sweetheart. It's on that dash, please. Man, you're a good camera woman. Man. So anyways, I'm just going to guess, or I don't have to guess. I can measure 1 inch from that. I'm just going to go like this. That much there. And I'm going to do the exact same on this side. That's what I'm going to do. So that's my measurement. I'm going to go from there. That's about the furthest of the dash. Where the dash rolls down, that's where it's going to come to hit that point. If you're with me. So I measured the depth of the dash. I measured the depth of it. And then I got this round rod and put it up there, and I measured the depth that I need, or where the dash is going to come out to. I would never know that until I have this piece that runs across. You can do that and guess and all that sort of stuff, but now I know that it runs here. So I know if that's where my dash is coming to, that should be my measurement. So I'm looking at 48.5 on that measurement. 48.5 is what I'm looking at. I do not, 48.5. So I'm going to come out to that dash. I do not know the angle, this angle right now. I think it angles down a little bit, or out a little bit. We can measure the dash and go down a little bit if we want to on the door. If it's going to come down a little bit, we can measure the distance too of what that is. And it's 49. So we're running a ½ inch wider at the bottom. So at the top of the dash, I am going to cut it no less than 48.5. No less than 48.5. At the bottom, I'm going to give it a little extra length because it says 49. So we know we need 1/4 of an inch on either side. So we'll just mark it a little crooked, and we'll put the meat towards the door. So we'll make it a little bit longer. So I'm going to come out here and show you what's going on now. So I've got the measurement of the depth of the dash from the top of the dash to the front of the dash, and it says it's 10 inches. I've measured the depth there, and I find my mark where 10 inches brings me out to. Then I measured across, and it is 48.5. As I have it 48.5, I'm going to say my key is my center line. When I look at 48.5, so I'll measure the whole dash and see how much we got to take off. So it's 52. So 48, there's 48 right there. It's 52. I'm going to count it with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. With a 1/4 inch on each side because it's 48.5. So there'd be 1/4 inch on either side. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 3.5 is what it actually comes to if I take 48.5. So what it equals up to is 48.5. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll say 2 inches on either side and give myself a little bit. So I'm going to mark this dash 2 inches from the end. I probably lost you on the measurement, but I think you get what's going. There's 2 inch there. And there's 2 inch there. When I look at the dash, I was thinking about taking it out of the center. There's not enough to take off the dash to even bother with the center. That would be a big mistake to cut that in half, section it, and try to get it in there when I can cut it off the ends. That was just a thought process that I had before I put it in there. Can I take it off the ends? How can I fit it in there? As I take some off there, that means that steering column, I have to watch that steering column. I do not want to get it over too far. And as I've noticed, the car gets wider as it comes back. So the steering column is coming back further as the car gets wider, so we have no problem there. At the present moment, if the steering wheel was right there, you could have a 16-inch steering wheel without hitting the door. So I'm happy with that. As I have that 2 inches there and 2 inches there, the measurement is supposed to be 48.5. So that only gives me 48 inches when I take off 2 inches on either side. So I have to add a 1/4 inch on either side. I have to add a little bit. Now I can just do that by eye. I mean, I'm going to fit it in there and weld it in there, so I should be able to do it by eye. And as I look at that, I'm going to draw, I'm just going to gauge by eye to put that dash in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run that straight up there like this, run it straight off, and I'm going to just pretend, because the dash is not straight, I haven't really got much to measure to. What's that? This, no, that's the line. Sorry, sweetheart. You're right. Thanks for correcting me. Thank you. It's the outside line that I want. Second, did I mix myself? It's not the 2-inch line. It's the other line. You are right, sweetheart. It's always nice when you can tell your sweetheart that she's right. It's always nice because you're able to give that person credit for their thoughts. And she was right. And I'm just going to draw that down here for, for shits and giggles. I'm going to draw it a little longer on each side because it's got a little angle because it gets bigger as it goes down. I'm just doing this cut here for now because that's what we're supposed to do. I'm going to leave a little bit more than regular. I don't want to cut too much off. I want to try to get in there best I can. It's wider at the bottom, so I'm just angling my line off a little bit. Angle my line off a little bit. I'm going to measure the bottom of the line. See what I got there is 2 1/4. 2 1/4. Bad cat. So that is the measurement I'm going with. I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to try it in there and see what happens. And that's all you can do, and that's basically it. You cut it off where you think, and then you try to make it work from there. Try to leave a little bit extra on because you can always cut it off. You can always add to it. Let's face it, you can always add to it, but it's always nice that you try to leave a little extra on. We can always cut it back after a little bit. I'm going to cut this off right quick. I didn't spit the measurements off real clear, but every time, when it's 48.5, the length of it, you have to find center of each piece. Find center. We found center on that, measured out from the center, then we found center of the dash. So whatever it is, whatever the measurement it was, 48.5, you have to find center and then go from there. You can't go from one end, if you know what I'm trying to say. And me not reading the measurement off just exactly does not matter. You can figure it out when you have your tape measure. Yeah, so something like this, if we're taking a little bit off each end, you always have to start from the center. And I measured the depth of the center, and then that's how we found how wide it was. I'm going to cut that off. I left the stuff in there. We're going to take it out and clean it anyways. We took some stuff off the back. I'm just going to spray this on here. We've been just spraying the bolts and the nuts on the back with this stuff here. We're using Crown. Works good. But I've just noticed that I put that on there and how shiny it makes the dash. I'm going to shine the dash before I put it in there. That's how anal I'm going to be for a second. Make it look better, you know what I'm saying? Put a little Crown on her. See how that shined that up, baby? Put a brand new dash in there today. Just for video's sake, I'm not video, see? Clean her up. Oh, man. I'm just going to pick this up, put it in the car, and see what happens. Yeah, there's no miracle, there's no nothing. We've measured the center, we've taken the distance, now we're going to try it. One other thing I'm going to do. I'm going to put a pair, I should put a pair of gloves on. And the reason we didn't take everything out of it yet, because it's in the dash, it will stay there. We start taking everything out of it, we'll have more of a mess everywhere. Also, when I put the dash in, it doesn't look as nice. Isn't that Hemi some pretty? Huh? It's too bad I left it out in the weather and see what goes on. But anyways, as I put this up here, we can see that we're a little too long. Wow, that looks nice, eh? Huh? We're a little too long. And we're not long by much. I'm just going to see. We'll take off another quarter on each end, and then we'll see what happens. As Jolene is getting her dash done, it's funny, eh? We're working on the dash of this one. Funny, eh? But it's all good stuff, that's for sure. What's getting done? You know something? That first line I drew is probably the one that we're going to go with this time. I'm going to bring this over a little bit here. Do the exact same thing on this side. I think that we're that much out, to be honest with you. Just go easy. and to be honest with you, this is nothing but fun if you're able to have an old car out back or have something in the garage and you're trying to fit a dash in and you're not trying to please anybody but yourself. It can be so much fun. So much fun. Believe me. Zip cuts are expensive, and what we do, or what Jolene has done, she has become friends with the lady at the store, and she lets Jolene know when the cheaper discs come in, because we use them like candy, and sometimes they can take a job price and throw it out of whack if you're not using things right. And the only people would know that are the people that have run a business and know and pricing up material. It's not, you know, that's the only way you would know that. I'm going to cut the other side off. Now, if it's away a little bit, does not matter. You can always add, you're going to have to weld a little metal to it anyways. I'm just trying to cut it to get it in there to make it fit. And then we go from there. So if something doesn't fit right off the head, do not get stressed out. That's what you're working on. Now, I see, I still have to cut. I got some corner work to do. I think. I just have to sort of get back and take a look at this. I got a little bit there. I have to angle that off. Okay, get that off. Angle that off. Now I think I managed to see what I need to do. And if I did not, what happens? You take it in and out until it fits. And this is the process where I was saying, can you imagine taking it in and out, in and out, in and out. If I cut it once, may fit, how much time I save. But something like this, you do not do that. You try to cut it until it fits. Now what I'm noticing is on the top, it had to be angled around a little bit. This was hitting at the bottom, I noticed, so I cut it off a little bit straighter, which it is a little bit straighter. Now it's hitting at the top, so I'm just going to angle this back a little bit on each corner and then see where it goes from there. Take a little bit off. And then it's back in and out, right? You know, this is a one-man show here at the second one-man show. Ooh. What's holding me up? Oh, I got a little brace up in there. It's holding me up. That's gonna look good. Pull that back out. See that bad boy right there? It's holding me up. I'm going to cut that out of there. And it can come back. It can come back another time. Like I can put a piece in there from there if I have to. But where this is secured on the top, I'm going to have to go and maybe get that brace that's out on the car. If not, I will brace it myself, you know. Does not have to be braced with theirs. Hope that goes in front of it. See, that's got to go on top. See, we'll try it. Better to try it than cut it too short. This is a trial and error called Dash. Trial and error. It has to be right there somewhere. Awesome. I know one thing I'm going to do. Gotta take that out. Snip that off a little straighter. Take something off here. Snip that off a little bit straighter. Watch yourself. Take that off, and I'll take that bolt out. I'm not going to use that bolt. Back in again. Cool. So what I would do, I got a little spot where I could tack it right on the side of the window post right here. Tack it on there, tack it on there, and just see what happens, you know. I can bend this. I see that if I had a little bit of help, I could draw and make this fit up in there better. But right at the present moment, that's how it's going, and that's how I got it to fit, just like that, one step at a time. As you see up in here, I could trim that piece off a little bit to get that angled in there and make it fit even better. But that's going to take one person holding and one person, you know, scribing. But that's exactly how we're going to get it in there. Take a look at it. Maybe I'll step back and you can get it. So that's how you do it. So from there on in, I need someone to hold it, and I would trim it back so it goes back a little bit further. We cap the ends. You can cap the ends. Then, if you can picture it, you can also build things on your doors to come around with the dash. That's heavy. To come around with the dash, you know what I mean, if you want to build stuff on your doors. But there you go. That's how you would put a dash in your old car. We did not section it. We took out a little bit off either end. We're still going to have a little bit for the steering wheel on the side. I like that we got the column over a little bit, because look at that big engine. And when you got that column over as far as you can and have the wheel that fits, it makes a big difference when you're putting the steering in. When I get the steering column out, I'll get this attached in. When I get the steering column out, 53 out there, I will cut the end off it, and I will show you how I turn that column into something new that I can use with a couple joints, like a couple double D joints. I'll cut it off and I'll show you what I do. But right at the present moment, it fits in there. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to get Jolene or me, or I'll get someone how to hold it. I'll come in and scribe the top so it fits a little bit better. We'll shove it in there and tack it on. And then it's mocked up and in there. I did nothing other than cut it out and take a few stainless steel pieces off the end. That's all I did. So if you want a dash in your car, that's all you have to do. Yeah. As we're doing this YouTube thing, it's a question, how do you get more followers? Jolene had an article the other day, was asking her how she would run a big company, how she would manage a big company to make it perform. Well, what she has come up with is that she would ask her employees what is the problem of the matter, because they would know best, because they're the ones that are working. Now, you would not go in and tell them what to do. You would go in and ask them what to do, because they would know how to fix it amongst themselves without taking them down by telling them what to do. You could bring them up by letting them tell you what the situation is, because they really do know. And as the YouTube followers, so if I want more YouTube followers to follow us what we're doing, the real deal, Bad Chad, I'm asking you, the YouTube followers, how do I get more subscribers? Think about that. How can Bad Chad get more subscribers? Have a good day, everybody. I'm sweating trying to hold that dash up. I get sweat running my face. But anyways, ask your friends, tell your friends, I don't know. But I would muchly enjoy that. Let's make this the best YouTube station going.